Welcome everyone to another wonderful day of League of Legends here in North America. We are here with the LCS Academy Summer Split, Summer Playoffs. I'm very excited to kick off this match, and there must be some magic in the air as I'm joined by Magical and Mr. Tim Magic 7 Houston. How you guys feeling today? Tim, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Can't wait to see these teams play and just enjoy some exciting young League of Legends.
It is very exciting. Magical, how about you? Got anything spicy for me?
Tim picked out my outfit.
I like it. Look at Snazzy over there. Looking snazzy. But
I gave him a choice. I said this one or the leopard print, and he chose this one.
All right. Well, hey, we hear what the energy is like today, at least going into the games. Well, we got to talk about today's schedule to get into those games as well. And we're going to be seeing the schedule come on the board here. Today, we're going to be covering FlyQuest Academy taking on C9 Academy. And Magical, gotta say, there's some interesting things going on with this one. It is the first time we're going to see FlyQuest Academy playing here in the playoffs. They got a little bit of a bye there to take a break, but now they've got to go up against a very surging Cloud9. And when we're talking about this and we're talking about the bracket here, we get to see this little run that C9 is accomplishing here as they make it to the semifinals.
Especially when you look at that series against Evil Geniuses Academy. That was a nail-biter. Reverse sweep from Cloud9 Academy, just barely managing to be able to beat them. And even in that, there were, I think, 2 40-minute games. The other 3 were over 30 minutes. It was back and forth between the teams, and honestly could have gone either way at any moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The fact that we got to go to all 5 games, first of all, but just the way that it went. Was there anything really that stuck out to you for C9 in that series?
Yeah, I mean, like Magical already said, it was a reverse sweep, and it looked like EG had this series. It looked like they played the first 2 games really well. Everyone was clicking. They had control of the games. I thought in Game 2, King really stood out for C9 in that loss, and he managed to rally the rest of the team behind him and find 3 wins on the way back. And yeah, it was a great series. And now they're bringing that momentum into today, and we'll have to see how much it carries them.
That's the biggest thing for me is I love that momentum. I love that push forward as you get that kind of rolling confidence. And we see the rosters ahead of us now. And I got to say, Magical, we're looking at that C9 roster a little bit more. We got to talk about some core pieces here.
And Tim also kind of hit it on it a little bit. Looking at the bot lane, especially for me, I'm looking at King, I'm looking at Isles, and how they're going to be able to perform, because I feel like that's going to be the strength for C9 Academy over FlyQuest. If they're going to be able to win, it has to be how they can play around King. Since you have Isles that likes to rotate around, likes to move around, and normally that means King's on his own in the bot lane. And with that, he plays aggressively. I love seeing how he plays in some of these matchups, even though he's been playing a lot of the Ziggs, a lot of the Varus lately. He's someone who's been pretty notorious for some of his incredibly powerful picks, like go way back. You played Draven last year a lot. You played that a good amount where it was just a pocket pick. I'm just waiting to see if he's ever going to bust out the Vayne. That's one of those niche picks that he always kind of keeps in the side, just like, you never know if I'm going to pull it out. And here in playoffs, playing something spicy against a team like FlyQuest Academy might be a good win condition.
I think it's really interesting to see like the bottom lane island now, but there's still some aggression down there occasionally. King definitely represented that. But on the other side of the table, we got FlyQuest Academy coming off their bye here in the Academy playoffs, but with some very strong pieces themselves, Tim.
Yeah, it's really interesting, the story of FlyQuest Academy this split, because it's the inverse of the FlyQuest LCS story, where they the LCS roster was really struggling, and eventually they swapped the entire LCS and Academy rosters and did these things and moved Licorice on. And the Academy roster has had to deal with a lot of moving parts, but eventually they ended up with this core. NXI and Triple actually only came back into Academy for the final week, but they brought Philip in. He's only been with the team for 12 games, which is 3 weeks of regular season play, and then they had this bye week. So it's really only about 4 weeks of time kind of acclimating. And I know Loyoto was sharing before about how much work they've been doing to kind of get him comfortable with the team. I think he used the word assimilate him into the team, which I don't know exactly what he means by that. But I think Philip is somebody you really want to watch as one of this kind of cadre of young players who came in right near the end of the split and have had some really strong moments. He's honestly impressed me more than I would have expected. And the other piece I would really look at on the FlyQuest side is NXI, who did really well in his time in the LCS this split and has just continued to follow that through. I think he's going to be the player to drive FlyQuest's success in this series, assuming that they can play well.
And I think the most interesting thing here is when we're highlighting, this top side of the map where I want to kind of dive into Darshan, Schernfire versus Philip and XI. It's so interesting to see the correlating stories here between the two and the differences we see in the stories between the two sides. But Magical, you got to say there's a little bit of a tall mountain to climb when you're looking for Philip to take on Darshan.
Well, I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it is going to be Phil. Then you also
Exactly.
get a solo kill over Viper not too long ago. This guy is starting to come onto the scene pretty hot, and Darshan, it's going to be a hard challenge for Phil, right? This is a player that has got a lot of regency here. He's this veteran that we've seen for so long in LCS, and
Mr.
has actually
President.
been a really good rock for Cloud9 Academy that they've been able to rely on, because you can put him on almost anything. Tank, carry, whatever. You can just say, Darshan, you're going to fill what the role the team needs the most, and that allows Schernfire on the other side to play these fun picks. The Fiddlesticks is what I want to see today. Please don't ban it. I want to see it.
It'll be banned.
I don't want it to be
It'll
banned.
I'm sorry, Magical. I mean, I'm hoping too, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't. But something else here, and it was also not touched on as much, right? We've been kind of talking about top side of the map, bottom side of the map. But this mid lane matchup is also going to be extremely important to how these teams are going to find success early on in the control around the map, Tim.
Yeah, I think we were talking a little bit about C9 struggling against EG Academy last week, and having EG having Tomio in instead of contracts, and how you would have expected Cloud9 maybe to look a little better than that. And so you think coming into this matchup, it should be a tougher opponent. Can they handle it? But I think this mid lane matchup tells a bit of the story of why C9 might be in a little bit better shape than they would have looked like, because Copy is a player who loves to play for the rest of the team, not selfishly for himself. And in last week's matchup against Jojo Pian, I think that was a head-to-head that could exploit that playstyle a little bit more. Triple is a little bit more standard. Not to say he can't smash lanes. He could play the Lucian. He could play, maybe bring out a Syndra or things like that and play to smash the lane. But he's not quite so. He's not going to throw himself entirely into winning that matchup and completely smashing your face in. I think Copy can survive that a little better. So I think that's an interesting part of the matchup.
Yeah, it really is. And now we got to talk about something more interesting, though. Tim, I'm going to go back to you first. I got to get your predictions. How does this all play out? How does it all work out here for both these teams?
Yeah, given that I think this matchup is a little bit more forgiving to Cloud9 than EGA was, I think they're going to do pretty well, but I do think FlyQuest Academy is the stronger team overall. Really big fan of what NXI is bringing out. Johnson and Dreams, them too. I'm going to go with a FlyQuest Academy 3-2.
Ooh, I like it. And I just like to hear we're going to be hearing Silver Scrapes today. That's all I'm excited about. Been getting blessed with that here recently, apparently. Magical, what about you? How do you think this is all going to play out?
So, my heart's telling me one thing. My brain's telling me another thing. And you know what? I'm going to go with 3-2. I'm going to follow the heart. Cloud9 Academy, let's go!
All right.
What did the sequence say, though?
Yeah, what do they say? Really, Magical.
Purple,
Listen.
usually.
Purple's an interesting color.
At least purple.
I like it. So we got a little bit of difference here, but I gotta say, I'm gonna stick in the clean C9 3-0 today. I know that's a little bit bold. I know. I was hoping for the 5 games, but I just rely so heavily on momentum. I think that confidence built is so huge, especially for a team like Cloud9. So I think it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Any last thoughts from you, Tim, here for this matchup before we get into it?
No, I mean, I can't wait to see what strategies they bring out, what picks they bring out, and just ready to jump in.
All right, Magical, anything for you?
Don't ban Fiddlesticks, please!
All right, well, you hear it from our analysts. We'll send it over to the caster desk. Rafa, Smacks, take it away.
It's time, Smacks! We're here. Thank you, Mazel, for the wonderful toss. And Mad Magical, I'm definitely in the same boat, man. I want to see Fiddlesticks as well. But in FlyQuest's best interest, more than likely, it should be banned because that is by far one of Schernfire's best pocket picks. And if we've seen anything from the Fiddlesticks gameplay between him and Keel throughout the entire Academy split, Smacks, I don't think many teams have proven that they are comfortable playing against it. So it's got to be
so scary.
Yeah,
it's terrifying in and out of the game. I think that's just how it is ended up being played, with all the vision control that you get with the effigies and then just the jump scares and everything. It's really fun to watch when Schernfire and Keel pull this out. So I'm definitely with Magical. I want to see Schernfire pick it at least once in this series. So We'll see if FlyQuest actually does allow that to happen. We're already getting a few of these bans out of the way, and some of these really potent junglers are already off the board, Rafa, and that Olaf one sticks out too. Lee Sin and Viego have been really big aggressive junglers in this meta, and I can already see that Surenfire and NXI are wanting to dive deeper into their pools.
And NXI kind of getting a little bit of a voice on banning that Olaf kind of speaks to me that a Xin Zhao priority is starting to come and crop up in terms of pick and ban order. Diana's still on the table as another jungler if you want to go more of a physical damage route for your solo laners, and that way you have the one AP damage threat. But Smacks, there's still other picks that are up on the table for FlyQuest Academy, and they have to think about this next ban very carefully.
They do. There are still a lot of good marksmen that are on the board. Callista really jumps out to me as being one that's very highly prioritized. Oh no, Magical!
I think
it's gone!
I think if production were to cue and feed Magical's audio right now into the stream, you would just hear eternal pain right now.
No.
Bingo.
But look at that! Xin Zhao's still here. So, Xin Zhao not yet nerfed, and neither has Diana. We are still playing on 11:15, despite the live patch moving ahead slightly. So both these champions still being up is a pretty big shock to me, I would say.
The Xin Zhao and Diana have been the biggest flavors for junglers for quite a while, Smacks. I feel like it's been, at least for the latter half of the Academy summer, and even the beginning of the Academy summer for quite an extent, as when we were coming out of MSI, Rumble and Morgana saw so many nerfs toward their way that Diana stood alone as the sole remaining powerhouse AP jungler. There are some players in Academy that have brought out Nidalee back into the fray when it calls for it, but you're right. Xin Zhao, Diana, and then of course the Renekton paired up with Philip. One of the things that we were talking about is that when Philip was first brought into this FlyQuest Academy roster straight from Amateur, his recent team being Radiance, Renekton and Wukong have been kind of the comfort picks for Philip, and even though if he doesn't have the best laning phase, he will always be able to provide some type of utility and setup for NXI on this Diana.
Absolutely. Well, I've been really loving the look that Philip's been showing to us in the past few weeks, even with all the roster changes the FlyQuest Academy has gone. It's like Philip is being played around very well, and as a rookie on this squad, that's such a big deal for FlyQuest to be able to accomplish. They will now be locking in this Varus as a response to the Leona Ziggs. So typically what we end up seeing when we've got these mage-esque bot laners being locked in is that the supports are just wanting to leave the scene as soon as possible, just letting those bot laners stick around and farm to their heart's delight and trying to attack the other lanes. Leona already showing that Isles is very keen on doing that. It's going to be up to FlyQuest to either match that roam aggression of Leona, or perhaps pick something that is defensive, like perhaps a Braum or a Thresh that are still up, or for Johnson to be able to back away and not be punished as heavily as he is a very immobile marksman.
And you notice FlyQuest Academy targeting some of Darshan's best picks or counter picks into the Renekton. Gangplank already being taken off the table. Jace is another one. I'm curious to see if this pushes Darshan towards a Gnar in the top lane, even though if the Renekton is able to set up the Diana for a dive onto Gnar, then the Gnar, it feels really sad. But in an isolated laning phase, the range advantage gives Gnar the advantage here. So it's all about what Darshan feels will be the game plan coming from Surenfire. Because when you have the Ziggs, Max, it does mean that you can let Isles start roaming, as you said, and then you just leave King to his own devices.
Liking the look of this rel for teams. This kind of just does the best of both worlds, where you're defending the Varus with a lot of heal, especially with the attract and repel stun, and you're also able to match the realms of Leona very well. So I'm liking the look of this champion. It's more flavor than the usual Thresh that we see as the lock-in. So this is very unique for Dreams. We've been seeing this a bit from Ayla as well on Team Liquid Academy. So this is going to be a cool look, and it helps the dive buddies of Diana and Renekton too as the game goes on as well. And we're seeing now that the Cloud9 are more focused on their mid lane. They're blinding this Ryze, and I like that they took away the Yasuo from 222 because it makes sure that Ryze is less vulnerable when it comes to the dive. And for Diana Yasuo in ultimate combination.
Yeah.
It's so lethal. I've been absolutely loving that duo, so Cloud9 wisely removing that.
Something to keep note of here is Cloud9. They banned the Wukong away from potentially Philip, as they had a potential suspicion that this Renekton was going to be flexed towards the mid lane for triple, just to guarantee counterpick for Philip. Now, this Lucian and Ryze are interchangeable. Both Copy and Darshan have played the Lucian as well as the Ryze extensively, so this still, even though being on the blue side, gets to hide what their solo lane matchups will be. So now FlyQuest Academy have to lock in something that can go into either Lucian or Ryze, and Twist of Fate, this is going to be the pickup smacks.
Very utility-based mid laner for triple in this game, wanting to roam around and help out the rest of the map. And the look that I'm getting from FlyQuest Academy is that they really want to unlock Philip in this game. And it's going to be pretty tricky. He is now against a ranged matchup that will heavily bully him out if he can't get the jump on there. But when you lock in things like this Diana and the Twisted Fate, you can unlock this Renekton to be a menace in those late-game teamfights, because you look across the board at Cloud9, they've got a lot of very squishy members on their backline. They've got this Ryze and Ziggs, the mage duo, who is still somewhat mobile. They can get out of some sticky situations, but if you do get that stun landed on them, then it's very easy to completely burst them out 100-0. Same with Lucian, too. So for FlyQuest, I'm liking that their main win condition in this game is going to be Philip and getting him to a point where he can be very strong, whether that be in the team fights or the side lane, because Twisted Fate means that they can play side lane quite well.
Something I am a little concerned about for FlyQuest Academy's team composition is, you're absolutely right. You know, Philip, main win con, you want to snowball him. A lot of the picks for triple and dreams. You're assuming that this Ziggs Varus is going to be a handshake in the bot lane. Both of the supports are going to leave their kids at the daycare. They're going to play nice with each other, and then they're going to go do adult things and adult jobs, which is trying to accelerate the top laners between Darshan and Philip. Now, if Darshan already has the natural advantage in this matchup because he is ranged, and you are able to really keep Philip down and at bay, but I imagine that we are going to get quite a bit of action around the 3-4 minute mark around the top side of the map, because that is when Isles and Dreams are going to try to get out of lane. Copy and Triple might try to match those roams as well, and we may see 3-on-3s or even 4-on-4s just in the top lane.
Copy, go back to base, buddy. You forgot your items. Come on. He's not noticing yet.
Oh.
Copy, you gotta go back and buy your mana crystal. Oh no. Maybe, okay. Maybe this is an instance where he's got futures. Okay, no, he's. I was gonna try to excuse it, but he's realizing it now. He's gonna want to get back and buy an item. There we go. There's that corrupting potion.
See?
All right, nice.
You know, I would have. Were you suggesting that if they were able to go for a kill and then you just get an early? I don't even know what you could buy with the extra gold.
Yeah. You can't do anything with Futurist Market because it doesn't activate until later. So that rune wouldn't even do anything until later on. But ooh, let's stop talking about Ryze items. We got a jungle invade going on.
I mean, this is possible, right? Because you have Lucian and Xin Zhao already super potent against Diana. I mean, Renekton, not necessarily the worst champion level 1 if you have the Call of the Meek for AoE damage, but you don't have access to the stun if that's the case. You don't have access to mobility in the slice and dice, so already Surenfire and Darshan are able to bully their way, get this red buff, and this puts NXI slightly behind tempo, as he's going to have to start on Wolves and full clear down into this jungle. And if Surenfire is able to play the map correctly, you can deny a lot of the map away from NXI in this early game.
Not able to deny the Raptor camp, though. NXI still snuck that one out from under the noses of the Cloud9 Academy squad. So, not feeling the worst, just down that red buff, and we'll have to look to see if he can get an invade down. I like that they already have that defensive ward down for Cloud9, just covering all their bases, knowing that that early invade was the option that they wanted to take. But we'll have to worry about FlyQuest having some more aggression on this bot side. They've got the bot lane push in, and maybe this means that NXI can still go for an invade despite that early vision.
Yeah, I like this adaptation for FlyQuest because they know that NXI could be in a very unfun situation where you are relegated to only one quadrant of the map in terms of relative farm. Surenfire is not opting in to trying to trade aggressively for the bottom side of the map. Surenfire is just going to play towards snowballing Darshan as he's already level 3, he's already in position waiting for the stacked wave onto the top side of the map.
Oh, and look at this up here for Surenfire. He was on that tri-brush, so this does mean... Wait, hold on a second.
I mean, Triple still has flash.
Oh my god! Triple's just dead! Copy! He starts the game with no items, but he's definitely got them now.
Okay, well, to be fair, he got the Corrupting Pod. Now, this is the dive that we are looking at. 3 stacked wave. Triple just died, though, has the teleport. Philip is able to get out of harm's way, despite the red buff ticking down onto him. Didn't have to burn the flash, but for Surenfire and Darshan, they did not burn summoners either. So it's a huge chunk onto Philip, but Philip is able to make it out alive. It does come at the cost of Triple. Oh, no.
Gotta be very careful, Philip. Gonna have to get out of there and take a recall. Oh my god. King.
This is a huge collapse from Copy, taking advantage of the fact that Triple had already committed teleport towards the top side of the map, but they still managed to trade 1-for-1 for Fly. NXI does go down at the cost of Copy's life.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. King and Isles just both committing flashes over that wall just to access this fight earlier. Now Isles helping out Surenfire in the 1v1. No flash for Triple.
Are they going for this? They could get one more
Got
auto
it.
attack,
Oh,
but the stun
the
card
stun!
comes in, but he should be able to take one more turret shot. Oh, no!
No!
Smax, this is an opener, all right.
Oh, yeah, as a reminder, everyone, this is still a best of 5. They've got a lot more League of Legends to play after this, but wow. No holds barred in the early stages of this game. I don't even know what replay this is going to be. Alright, so NXI had just tried to take away these Krugs. We didn't get to mention it before, but because Surenfire was spotted up in the top side, NXI was trying to take out the entirety of this red quadrant. He did get Raptors and red buff, but does get punished quite nicely by Cloud9 when he goes for the Krugs. A little too much to handle on the 3 camp.
I love the response, though, from Surenfire and Isles. They're just immediately trying to go for the punish. Unfortunately, the dive goes slightly awry. It's another kill, and it puts Triple into the dust, but you lose out on the buffs, and you're able to... For Triple's sake, he gets a little bit of return gold back thanks to the turret shot being able to take him down. I do appreciate what Cloud9 are trying to do, though, because they're trying to accelerate the game pace to
man.
Okay. So,
Nicely done.
Max, but do you see why this is good, though, for Cloud9? By accelerating the game pace, especially onto FlyQuest, who don't really have a late-game win condition apart from, say, Johnson being able to have huge piercing arrows in terms of poke damage, and then NXI just being able to blow up people. You look at Ryze, you look at Ziggs, that's like so much magic damage and burst. How are you supposed to compete with them in team fights?
You really just can't. These guys are going to be dealing so much damage from such a long distance away, too. And for FlyQuest, they do have a slight range problem, apart from this Varus, who likely will be going for the lethality build. And this comes back to what we were talking about in the draft, where Cloud9, they're trying to accelerate the pace with Lucian and Xin Zhao, these champions that they have drafted specifically for this purpose. They counterpick the Renekton up in the top lane for Philip. They try to put him very far down behind, and this accomplishes 2 things. It makes sure that Lucian and Xin Zhao feel confident going forward into the game, and a confident Lucian and Xin Zhao is such a huge difference from a scared Lucian and Xin Zhao, so that already is great. But it also puts down the early game for FlyQuest, because they've got this Twisted Fate who doesn't necessarily want to go bot lane, and now he can't really go anywhere because this Renekton is so far down behind, and he's just locked into his own lane against Ryze, which is not a matchup that he prefers.
At this point, your strongest set piece for FlyQuest is NXI on this Diana. Once he hits level 6, you have access to a lot of burst damage with the Moonfall. He is somewhat ahead thanks to the farming that he's been doing. As Surenfire going a little too deep, not respecting the fact that Triple had the first roam there. Copy's going to be able to follow up, but can he get the last tick of damage onto NXI? But Triple's threatening him with the gold card. Darshan is here, but it's not going to be enough. Culling is not going to be in range to be able to take out NXI. So this is, once again, Smax, if you're a FlyQuest fan, you are glad that NXI is not gets out alive. Oh my goodness, Darshan might be in a bad spot. This is, yeah, you have to flash that.
Philip not following, just takes the flash advantage. I like this one quite a lot because it just relieves so much pressure. Philip, already knowing that he is the center of attention for Cloud9 Academy, doesn't want to use his flash aggressively, knowing that he'll just get killed later. Like that look from FlyQuest. And for Cloud9, bold moves to just dive past turrets early on. Copy just walking straight through them, trying to keep the aggression going. I just don't think that they respected the fact that NXI did hit level 6 off of those minions, had access to the Moonfall. Fire falls slightly further behind. He's now down about 5 camps.
Well, thankfully, Smacks, he is Xin Zhao, and his job is to accelerate the early game.
Win now.
Win now, baby. And it's not quite as how should I say this? When you go back to, what was it, Season 8 Worlds, where Xin Zhao, you go red buff, start Crab, fight for Crab at like I think it was 2 minutes and 15 seconds, right? And then you just spam gank and you don't farm. This time around with the new and improved Xin Zhao with the long range shenanigans and more of the AoE wave clear from the wind becomes lightning, you have the ability to farm up decently, and then once you get Gore Drinker, you are a decent team fighter, and thanks to Crescent Guard, you have a lot of utility as well, but, I mean, I think you have to take this trade as Cloud9. You have to push the early game with Xin Zhao when you have more agency than Diana before the Moonfall even came up.
Rough, check out where Dreams actually is. He came up for this topside roam, trying to find any kills, because there's no objectives here to take. You're only looking for kills if you go for a roam like this for Dreams, but looks like he's going to come up empty-handed so far. Still no dragon priority for either team. Not wanting to stick around in this bot side. I feel like for Dreams, going for a roam like this, he's just giving a huge opportunity for King to go about the lane carefree. In a matchup where he was down about 20 CS, he's now equalized that to slightly less. There's a wave pushing into Johnson, so we'll see if he can keep that one going. But King, feeling a breath of fresh air on the Ziggs is pretty much exactly what he wants to do. He just wants to go to that late game and be a menace when it comes to the damage with the bombs.
Yeah, and if you tuned in to the Cloud9 EGA series last week, if you remember Game 4, where EGA were on the brink of being able to close out the game, Tony Top super far ahead in the Fiora, it seemed doomed for them, but the fact that King was so well fed onto the Ziggs, well farmed up, and he was the sole reason why Cloud9 were able to stay in the game for so long and eventually just pulled out a win before they made the reverse sweep happen in Game 5. We'll have to see if FlyQuest are not able to accelerate the pace fast enough, as it's not doom state for FlyQuest at the moment. You still have NXI, who is getting quite strong on this Diana. There's still an opportunity for Philip to get access to the backline and annihilate King or Copy before they're able to trade damage back, because they're nowhere near the late game powerhouse states quite yet, Smacks.
This is a really interesting state for Philip to be in, because he is under heavy fire from Lucian and Xin Zhao in this early game, and it did force him to go for the plated steel caps rather than any early magic resist. And as the real solo frontline, apart from Rel, who is on support income, going for a lot of armor in this early game is gonna help early, but it's gonna feel pretty bad for late game, because most of the late game damage is coming from Ryze and Ziggs, and Ryze so potent at just bursting down any frontline who can't access him, and when you don't have any magic resist to speak of, it's going to be even easier. So you can really see the ripple effects that Cloud9's early game pathing has had on Philip and on the rest of FlyQuest as a whole.
Fire dropping the Rift Herald into the bottom lane. Not quite enough for King to come in and blow it up with the Satchel Charge, but it does just guarantee more plates over to Cloud9's way. Stabilizes the gold lead somewhat, despite NXI having a decent CS lead over Fire. And NXI, he's the only one, besides King, who just got the Leandry's Torment. NXI is the only member on his team that has that mythic completion with the Proto Belt. And you already see he is running with triple right now.
Oh, wow.
They're going to look to route off Darshan, but Copy, a beautiful answer. Even King is coming in with the teleport of his own. So this play from Triple and Philip is not going to work out in their favor. Has to burn the flash as well to escape.
I love that response and awareness from Darshan, knowing that Copy can match that teleport. He dodges out on the Destiny from triple by just kiting toward the river, and that's exactly where Copy was going to be anyway. Just early heads-up awareness from the members of Cloud9 Academy to save that play. And look at this, they even get the flash out of triple too, so it's an even trade across the board. Triple and Copy both using those, and a couple of teleports traded as well. King and triple. Both of them.
The early game has been trippy, Smacks. Don't get me wrong on that.
Nice save.
I got you, buddy. But looking for Cloud9, you do burn Realm Warp and a teleport from King, but then you think about where King could be on the map, and it's not even that much of a loss, because now you sense Darshan still continuous into the solo lane on the top side of the map. Copy's taking the solo lane on the bottom side of the map, but what do they both have? They have access to teleport. So if you want to go for a fight, whether on either side of the map, both of the solo laners will have access to be able to join the fight immediately. So this teleport from King isn't even one that Cloud9 had to be worried that they invested in, since now King is going to be stationed in mid lane and will always have the easiest access to either side of the map.
For King, it is a slight bummer that they weren't able to crack open an entire turret, because typically with Ziggs, finding that Rift Herald in the early game is just such a huge advantage, because you can use all of your siege damage alongside with your passive and the satchel for turret explosions. They didn't quite get enough damage down onto it, and I feel like that's a slight hindrance for King in just the possibilities that you could have gone for Cloud9. But again, they did spend a lot of that early attention up top trying to shut down Philip. They succeeded in that for sure, but it is a missed opportunity that King will now have to bounce back from, as he is still Ziggs. He has that possibility, but just not aggressing early with it.
Yeah, I think as Cloud9, you are taking the trade that by accelerating Darshan and Churnfire early, we guarantee a bridge through the early game and the mid game where FlyQuest are going to be at their strongest. And then if you can bypass that, get into the 20-25 minute mark where King and Copy come online with their second, third item spikes, then you have done your job as Cloud9, because then at that point, it is very difficult for FlyQuest to be able to match in terms of damage. At that point, you are hoping on flanks from NXI and Philip to assassinate the backline, and from that point, you buy space for Johnson to clean up the fight.
And you know, it's not even that much of a missed opportunity, because it looks like Cloud9 are going to get that bot lane turret anyway. Copy pushing in that wave. Looks like a first turret angle to me, so the Ziggs damage and the Rift Herald still going to work out for them in the end. They get that nice gold bump. Going to be traded, as Philip is taking the top lane one, but is still going to feel pretty good. And actually, no, he's not even going to be able to take it to the top lane. It's a pretty healthy turret up there, so not that push, but it'll eventually be traded, and it does leave Cloud9 with this opportunity to take Drake too.
And I like how they're rotating Darshan over to the bottom lane, because with a Gale Force Lucian, he's pretty strong, and in case they wanted to contest the Dragon, he would have been a stronger fighter to have there versus Copy. As huge wave, Copy will be able to annihilate this wave thanks to just #Rise things. This Rift Herald will crash, though, get a second charge. Isles is here, potentially looking for the re-engage. Zenith Blade goes a little wide. Triple is actually popping the... Okay. Well, I guess Destiny was popped just to make sure and take stock of where everyone else was on Cloud9 in the map before they went for the play. So not necessarily... It looks weird on screen, but it's there just for defensive vision and making sure that FlyQuest were not completely overextended. As Churnfire does find NXI. Moonfall has popped. I don't think he's getting out. He still has Flash, but he's popping this stopwatch with no real escape route possible. Churnfire locks him down.
FlyQuest just using a lot to gain just about nothing in this top side of the map. NXI, the straggler, caught out. Meanwhile, Darshan, he's not going to be able to go down very easily. Philip, realizing this, there's so much mobility for this Lucian pick. And Philip only has the one stun to lock him down. Or Drinker not able to do much. Ooh. Darshan, he wants a little more. Not going to get it, though.
That's in his limits, but without Gale Force, if things get a little dicey, he would have to burn the Flash to get away from Philip's wrath, as Dreams is also making his way downtown to assist the Crocodile. Cloud9, they are doing their best to just get through this mid-game, because we have to remember and reiterate, FlyQuest, in order to really make this composition successful against the likes of Cloud9, you need to blow up. You need to blow up this backline with your burst from NXI on this Diana. You can combo it with Dreams, getting an attract repel stun, and then there's like a potential wombo combo that is there in the composition, but because of the way that Cloud9 were able to split up the map, put so much attention towards Darshan, they've stunted Philip's ability to really get out of control now. We got double teleports coming in. Gold card flash from Triple will lock him down. Philip picks up the kill, but now Triple might be in a bad spot. Everfrost is going to root him down. And Copy, but a beautiful re-engage from Dreams. And FlyQuest, they have the numbers advantage. They have the man advantage. Copy the,
Wow.
Copy's got the spell damage under the turret. Dreams, he's got the CC, but he doesn't have damage to be able to answer back. And Philip now is in a bad place. Dominus Flash comes out, looking for the burn on the Copy. One more auto might be enough. The Call of the Meek is enough. Fire now should be able to deal with this. The Crocodile has no more life in him, nowhere else to run, but it's Max. FlyQuest are definitely looking for ways of getting back into the game, and I love the decisiveness that is coming out from them.
Yeah, that was a really fun play that FlyQuest went for. Fun sounds quite derogatory, but with the way that this game has been going for the past 10 minutes, I was looking for some more fun to happen. So FlyQuest, they find this opportunity where Darshan doesn't have Gale Force, because remember, in the 1v1 isolation, Philip did force him to use that. They bring all of these members. They finally do use that global presence of Twisted Fate Destiny to get down to a lane and into a side lane. And Philip, just purely with his mechanics alone, is able to find a lot of these plays. Dreams does go down as a dismounted Rel. Can't escape anything in reality, but I love the way that Philip is able to just make this even more advantageous for FlyQuest than it otherwise would be, just with the ferocity and lethality of his movement.
Guys, this is... I just want to give props to Philip here. This is someone who was put down in the dirt by Fire and Darshan, almost down, I think there was like a 30 CS lead at some point. But you can't keep Philip down. And something that we have seen from multiple Academy squads time and time again when they've gone up against the new FlyQuest Academy squad is they think, oh, Philip's straight from amateur. He doesn't really know how to play the competitive game at the highest level yet. He's going to have nerves. He's going to be shaky. But Philip has done a great job of just adapting as we see another FlyQuest pick. King is going to be assassinated. Fire tries to go in to redeem and get some revenge for the rest of his fallen comrades, but he also goes down. Darshan has the calling, is able to find one on a triple, but they attract and repel combo from Dreams. But Darshan! He's got too much damage in the back pocket. FlyQuest, maybe a little overextended on the dive.
Darshan, the mechanical genius there on Lucian, finds the execute damage with the Gale Force pop. I love that one from him. But honestly, FlyQuest finding these picks is just such a huge moment for them. You can see that Johnson is able to flash the Chains of Corruption, and there's really no way that you can get out of this. The gold card's already coming. It's not going to miss. You don't have stasis or anything. But, Cloud9, for Darshan to come in and save this play like this is just such a big deal.
Oh, man. NXI wanted to follow up on Dreams. He committed to the play. He had trust in his teammate, but NXI was sub 100 HP, and I think Darshan, what it looked like, he had fired the Piercing Light just as NXI was flashing in, so he didn't get a chance to get the full damage off of what he wanted to bring for the burst for the follow-up. So NXI is just unfortunate timing, goes down. Darshan gets a lot of kills in that play, and just to echo your thoughts and kind of your sentiments, Max, it is good that FlyQuest are trying to force picks on the map. You have a lot of single target CC, thanks to things like Chain of Corruption's Gold Card and a Ruthless Predator from Philip. But when Cloud9 are able to either trade evenly or trade up, then Cloud9 are the ones that are winning out on the war of attrition.
This is just what Academy's all about, Rafa. You just go for every single fight that you can find. The team fights, they get so close, and it's just fun mechanic engagements going on. I love Academy when it comes down to stuff like this, because when you look up at the scoreboard, the game is dead even. we're still like going into the late game. We can say, oh yeah, Cloud9, they've got a strong mage backline, and that's going to be a pretty big deal. But when when FlyQuest are able to get these picks with the Twisted Fate and the Varus and everything, then that's how they can even out the stakes and they can make things swing into their favor. And it's just like proper utilization of these tools is what makes these two teams so exciting in this game.
FlyQuest are not necessarily out, as you said, Smacks. It is all about the pick game. Destiny has been thrown up from Triple, getting vision and stock of where everyone from Cloud9 is on the map, as he had to make the getaway. Turnfire and Darshan were closing in. Notice here that we've got TPs up for every single member, both on Cloud9 and FlyQuest, as Philip, he gets this turret.
It does. It's easy as that, based on the collateral damage of that Rift Herald from earlier. It's already very low. Philip gets to walk on down. And for both of these teams, you can see that they're playing this game of tug of war with the side lanes over and over in this game. And for FlyQuest, this is something that they've been able to accomplish with their academy team really all throughout this entire year. It's one of the reasons why their players have looked so strong, and strong enough to even get some LCS time as well, as we've had a lot of roster moves between the two teams for FlyQuest this summer. And the fact that Cloud9 is bouncing the waves well and making sure to not give in to that win condition that FlyQuest tends to go for is a really big deal. And they've got a nice composition to do it with, too. I'm loving the Rise priority that we're seeing from Copy. He did blind pick this champion, by the way.
And we have to go back to the early game where FlyQuest, the way that they wanted to go for picks in the first place, having Triple be used as an accelerant for Philip on this Renekton pick. The fact that Copy was able to get that solo kill, which forced Triple in a weird recall state and had to use the TP to go towards the top lane, gave Copy such a nice advantage of being able to control and have priority over the lane, because we saw how Triple was able to get early aggressive vision in this Twisted Fate Rise matchup, which you would expect, but that swung things, it slowed things down for FlyQuest. They didn't get a chance to really help out Philip. He was left to the Wolves. Now, this mid-game, has been a little bit opposite. FlyQuest have been now able to use their picks and their global utility to that advantage to find these isolated kills when Cloud9 are split up across the map. But still, we're at 25 minutes. Neither team has an overwhelming advantage. They might go for a pick here, though. Isles is going to lock him down. Solar Flare. NXI finds the Moonfall, but it's not enough follow-up damage for the rest of FlyQuest, and now they're on the retreat because you have multiple teleports coming in from Copy and King, rounding off the members of FlyQuest. They have nowhere else to run, and they're going to continue the chase with the Realm Warp. It's a nice stun from Dreams, but do they have the damage from Johnson? And the answer is no, and Dreams has to get the hell out of there, but Darshan is on the chase. He's got the movement speed. He's got the auto attacks. Ardent Blaze does connect, but he doesn't get the auto attack for the extra movement speed. But wait, just as I say that, another relentless pursuit. Darshan! Leave him alone! He has got a family! Teal Dreams just wants to go back home! Oh, but he doesn't make it out, and it's an ace for Cloud9.
A 5-for-0 ace at that, Rafa, and FlyQuest, they overreached so far. They tried again to punish Darshan, but this time he still had that Gale Force movement available. He's able to dash out of this, Gale Force again, avoiding the stun entirely, and even with the Moonfall connecting, he's already way too far gone. The teleports come in, and you're all of a sudden fighting a Ziggs in a corridor. That's the exact wrong spot that you want to do that. Realm Warp secures that. It's a crazy one fight for Cloud9. You get to secure the Drake after the fact too, and Rafa, this is the big explosion of a team fight that we were looking for Cloud9 to be able to do. No pick landed for FlyQuest. That's their big win condition in a game like this. Cloud9 get everything they want and more.
Max, you know what the coolest part of that play was? That King, he threw the Mega Inferno Bomb and then instantly TP'd. So by the time he showed up, it's like the bomb came in just literally 2 seconds before, and then he comes in and throws the minefield. And my God,
it's like the old play where you'd see like Ashe throw ultimate and teleport to it, and it stuns, and you just auto attack them a bunch of times.
Yeah,
oh,
I've seen Ezreal's do that as well. When you remember the good old days of Ezreal mid with Runeglaive, Lichbane, or was it? It was either Runeglaive, Lichbane, or it was the old No, Runeglaive. Because Runeglaive was a Sheen item,
the jungle item, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Ezreal and jungle items just... They always find some way to break the game. Luckily, it hasn't happened in the times of the Ember Knife and... What's the other one? The chill poker? I don't know.
Chill? What are they, like a kebab skewer at this point?
The icicle?
They
could have called it the icicle.
Oh
You should
yeah,
know this.
icy sickle. That would be sick. Maybe it's the chilling sickle. I'm not sure. We'll get confirmation on that after the game, as it's not the most important information. But for me and Smacks, we're kind of seeing a little bit of a means of an end from Cloud9. They are hitting massive power spikes, 3 items for both Rise and Ziggs. And when FlyQuest are not able to pick off those members in a coordinated wombo between Dreams and XI, then it's really difficult for FlyQuest to just match in terms of consistent AoE team fight damage. Johnson, you even saw in that moment. Oh, they're going to look for a pick on the King, but he's got the stasis and the invulnerability flashing away from the Everfrost route. FlyQuest, now they don't have any more means to be able to fight back, so now they're on the run, they're on the retreat. Darshan just pelting away with the culling. A nice amount of damage back returned from Johnson with that piercing arrow. If you look at Cloud9, they are trying to burn down this Baron ASAP, but might have to back off because Philip is threatening the back door.
Yeah, Philip already attacking the inhibitor turret with this minion wave. Both teams using a lot in that exchange, but it's FlyQuest who still have this advantage because they don't bring everyone. That's the big benefit that you have when you go for a pick composition. Against a team fight comp, you expect that they are going to be grouped up as 5 when the fights come down. But if FlyQuest, they can isolate one member and make them the advantageous members where they have the outnumbered fight, then you don't actually need to bring Philip to that. You can just use the gold card, lock down King. Even if he survives, you don't need everyone for this.
The fact that FlyQuest bought so much time for Philip to get a substantial amount of damage on the inhibitor turret. I would like to see where it dropped down to if we get a chance from the observers before the next fight, just to see how much work that Philip was able to put down into the base. Because I know inhibitor turrets, if I'm not mistaken, don't regen that fast. So it's about half.
They regen up to a third of their health. So if you take it down to a third, then it'll only regenerate to that. So I believe that is every instance of 1100 health. That is the peak that it goes to.
Interesting. Well,
weird trivia for turrets that I know, and I apparently don't know the name of Hailblade. Now I do though, thanks to our production.
Well, that makes sense because it's big icy rock, and then some type of knife or dagger of some sort. During this whole time, Smacks, we didn't even keep track of how many dragons that Cloud9 and FlyQuest, because there's just been, quite honestly, far more interesting things that have occurred on the map with all the picks and the skirmishes that we've seen for the past 30 minutes. But it is Mountain Soul on the table for Cloud9, and when they have already invested into such a lot of durability items like the Wit's End for Surenfire, Zhonya's Hourglasses for King and Copy respectively, you get that Mountain Shield on top of it, and the burst that comes out from FlyQuest is going to be mitigated even harder now.
And you can tell the FlyQuest are going out of their comfort zone to get priority over this side of the map, and trying to get their footing on lock for them before this fight actually continues. They've got all these members in this bot side river, but they have to now deal with the engage. Oh, Al's not actually committing, even though he flashed.
Well, they might go for a recommit now. Triple has to burn the flash. Dreams using the Ferromancer to try to get a harm's way, but that's a lot of damage. NXI looking for the flank on the Surenfire, but you want to go for the backline. You don't want to go for the Gore Drinker Xin Zhao, who's very durable at this point. Darshan flashing forward. NXI going in for the Moonfall, pops the stasis. But it's not going to be enough from FlyQuest as the rest of them are just scattered like the winds. Triple looking for a re-engage. Philip is also here, but he is half HP. 1500 in the Dragon. There's no smite from Triple or the rest of the FlyQuest members.
No!
Oh! Dreams! Run, Theo Dreams!
Oh, the burn damage!
The burn damage from Demonic and Liandry's Torment. Double burn smacks. Mountain Soul has been acquired by Cloud9.
Oh, it's definitely feeling like Cloud9 have the edge in this one now. We were not certain for most of this, but Mountain Soul is a pretty big deal, as unfortunately for FlyQuest, NXI being the one to go down means you don't have any smite. I don't think Triple has a charge of his rune up quite yet. The Unsealed Spellbook being very useful in times like this, but if you don't have it up, then that's another thing. Does force the flash out of Darshan, but can't do much else.
Trying to go for a cheeky assassination on a Darshan, trying to just find something out of the chaos that emerged.
Bombs away!
Poor Dreams is just on the run, but it eventually gets burned down here.
Man, that was blind too, just throwing things willy-nilly. When you're in a position where you can do that on Ziggs, it just feels so freeing. You're like, I have blue buff, I've got a tier item now completed. He just purchased that full Seraph's Embrace. I've got all the mana I could possibly think of, and all the cooldown reduction too. Just throwing bombs everywhere. It just feels great. It really fits the champion's thematic too.
At this point, Smacks, FlyQuest, all their eggs are in the Philip split push train basket. It is Philip has to be able to find a way to coordinate with FlyQuest to absorb their attention, engage without dying. Like, they have to burn all their cooldowns and then buy time for Philip to be able to knock down the base. But at this point, Darshan, he's gonna say, no. You don't get the split push for free, homie. That's sus. We're not gonna let you ever touch our base again. Because at this point, Darshan, with the Serelda's Grudge, with the QSS, he has enough defensive utility to be able to escape Philip's graph if he ever tries to close the distance once again.
I am not going to let you forget that you just said the word sus on the Academy broadcast. You're gonna hear from me again later. Just as a warning that you just did that. It will not go without repercussions.
Yeah, you don't approve, Smacks?
Oh no, it's not a matter of approving. It's just a matter of making fun of you.
Well, that's fair. I mean, Smacks, I feel like Twitch chat makes fun of us already enough, so I think
they're probably doing it right now.
Yeah, we might as well just lean into it at this point and just give them more material and content to work with.
If we get ahead of it, then it doesn't hurt as bad.
Exactly. If we're the ones free willingly giving the punchlines to Twitch chat to meme us about, then we are contributing to the joke.
They're laughing with us rather than at us. It's great.
Exactly. Now,
for Cloud9 though, you can see they're trying to set up this vision around the Baron. They don't actually commit to it quite yet because Philip is still just that pesky little insect that's just flying around your apartment like, hey, I'm here, you can't catch me. He's still going, just trying to eat away at that turret. And while Darshan does have a pretty potent fly swatter, hasn't found the killing blow yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and then we can't lie, Smacks. I think we're very convinced that this is Cloud9's game to win with Mountain Soul on the table. NXI,
wow,
man. Good night, King.
No smite now. That's just easy Baron for just about nothing. FlyQuest, they don't gain anything in this bot side quite yet. Darshan does teleport away, but he can just recall right now and arrive again.
They're going to try to threaten the base. They know that they have no chance, no shot at being able to steal the Baron away. At this point, FlyQuest, I appreciate that they're not trying to fumble for the Baron, and they are just doing the best alternative option, and is trying and threaten the base. But with Cloud9 in hot pursuit, the Realm Warp is going to try and follow up on FlyQuest. They were able to manage to take down the inhibitor turret on the bottom side of the map, so not the greatest consolation prize for FlyQuest, but it's the best that they can do in this situation. But now they're on the run. Cloud9 are trying to rout them off, not give them an opportunity to recall or be able to get out alive. Philip is popping the Dominus. Triple has the gold card ready. Fire is keeping his distance, making sure not to go in 1v5, as that is a substantial amount of damage that is coming out from Johnson with these piercing arrows, despite the Mountain Soul being picked up here for Cloud9.
I just love the bullying that we're seeing from Cloud9, just reminding FlyQuest that there's no way they could press the B key without being punished. They're going to be able to do it now, but Cloud9 already got them off of that side of the map. Like you said, Rafa, only one inhibitor turret was the consolation prize for FlyQuest. Now Cloud9, they have this Baron that they can use to siege down these turrets. As soon as King is comfortable enough to move forward with these minions, you have to imagine that the base is not going to take long to defeat. But Cloud9, they're not wanting to risk anything right now, Rafa. They're stacking up around the Elder Dragon, knowing that this is the one way the FlyQuest can come back.
Whoa, that's a huge engage from Dreams. King has to force a flash immediately away. Isles is now doing a Solar Flare as a defensive option. It's a 4-man engage from NXI. Moonfall is going to be enough burst damage, though, to be able to get onto the backline, but you just cannot chew through this Mountain Soul as easily as you would like. Philip respawns with the GA, goes on for Surefire, but a stasis and a stopwatch. It saves his life. And the rest of Cloud9 come out with the ace, and they're ready to close out Game 1.
Cloud9's so confident in their team fighting capabilities, they just stack up, knowing that they'll win that fight, and then win the game after it. An amazing Game 1 for Cloud9 Academy. They can even use the Realm Warp to end it a little quicker, too. Go for the speed run, why not?
I mean, not necessarily a speed run, as this was a 38-minute game, Smacks, but, you know, speed run to the Nexus once the death timers are up in favor of Cloud9. Now, looking at this first Game 1, Smacks, I think there's praises that can be handed both ways, because both teams did not play perfectly. Even though Cloud9, you know, got out with Game 1, I think there were great responses from FlyQuest that, you know, didn't obviously work out and be able to bring them back into this Game 1, but there are some noteworthy praises, like the way that they were still able to force mid-game picks. I think Philip deserves a lot of credit for getting a lot of attention focused down onto him during the top side of the map, and he was able to bounce back and still find ways of initiating and setting up FlyQuest for those picks onto the side of Cloud9. It's just, I mean, if I don't want to sound like we're copying kind of the horn of some other casters in the scene, but this draft diff is so hard to overcome the later the game goes, Max.
I think it's a combination of the draft that FlyQuest put together and the way the Cloud9 decided to attack it. Because I don't think FlyQuest were lacking options in this game. Like we were saying when we were in that stage of the broadcast, for Philip, he did have a lot of early power, and they had a lot of ways to give him agency with that power, to make him very powerful in his own right and oppress the enemy side laners. So I think for FlyQuest, they had a lot of strategy going into this. They had the Twisted Fate to go up there. They had the Diana lockdown too. But when it came down to what Cloud9 decided to do to stop this, he just sent so many times, so many ganks up there to punish Philip. And it didn't stop throughout the entire 38 minutes of that game. I think Cloud9 just did a phenomenal job shutting down any aspect that they could, just tunneling on one way that FlyQuest had to win that game, mitigating that, and then it makes FlyQuest's comp look more one-dimensional than it actually is. So I think a lot of credit is due to Cloud9 for that. And it's not just the draft as much as it is. In retrospect, it feels that way because FlyQuest lost a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, the early game composition could have been something that was a huge thorn into Cloud9's side because, like you said, the setup pieces were there, and the fact that they were still able to pull it off, you know, maybe 10 minutes later than the timing that they actually wanted to pull it off, so that they would be just striding through the mid game, and Cloud9 would have to be struggling to stall for time and wait on the power spikes to be coming in. It's honestly just more credit to Cloud9 for being able to deter that accelerant from even occurring in the first place. Now, getting ready for Game 2, we're going to be going for a quick break, but when we come back, Mazel, Mad Magical, and Magic, the Triple M desk, is going to break down more things that we didn't get to catch in that Game 1.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, as well as Discovery Plus, with a Galaxy S21 plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.